Tuesday, the world caught a rare glimpse into the operations of the CIA thanks to WikiLeaks. You probably heard that the CIA developed over 1,000 pieces of software designed to secretly spy on you through your phone or TV. They even had been working on ways to trick forensics experts into thinking that the Russians were behind any of their work. But this story barely made it through the 24-hour news cycle before it was buried under the latest goofy thing that Trump said. Collectively, it was like we all decided that we already knew the CIA was violating our rights, so we should just move along. And I find that very troubling. Over this, there aren't any protests on college campuses, there's no groups knocking on congressmen's doors over this, and there's no protests outside the CIA headquarters in Fairfax. There's no media outrage demanding further investigation. I guess that's because freedom and privacy are no longer values that we expect in this country. We're going to rally for political correctness and jump on the latest gaffe of any public figure, but we aren't going to stand up for our Constitution. The First and Fourth Amendments simply aren't important to us anymore as Americans. Maybe it's Facebook or the saturation with media that's made us numb to these types of intrusions, but we react to our government spying on citizens and on reporters with a shrug of the shoulders. You know, our framers of this nation saw fit to make the freedom of speech the very first thing they addressed in the Bill of Rights. They saw that the British government's repressive censorship as absolutely contrary to the basic tenets of this democratic republic. They knew a critical press was crucial to keeping government from growing too powerful and turning on the public. But we felt very little when the NSA seized the AP's phone records with Eric Holder's blessings. Thomas Jefferson would have been livid. 240 years is a relatively short time to go from fighting a brutal war on our own soil to surrendering our basic rights without so much as a whimper. So how in the world did we get here? I remember growing up that my dad and my Catholic school teachers would all threaten that if I did something wrong, they were going to put it in my permanent record. That struck fear in my heart. If I talked back to a teacher, I thought I'd never be able to live it down. I thought that my principal, college admissions offices, even my future boss were going to be able to read about my discretions, or at least so I feared. But now, we will freely share every detail of our personal lives online. And with the First Amendment on life support, college campuses are banning speakers because they speak radically. If we don't agree with someone, we just want to shut them up. Look, I think people like Milo Yiannopoulos are disgusting, but I also believe that they have a right to speak. However, instead of just ignoring this bigot, they rally to censor him. In the same way, the Supreme Court has time and time again protected our privacy rights. But we just don't care about that anymore. If our very identity is stolen, our social security number, credit card numbers, or large amounts of personal data, they get passed around the internet. And we've gotten so used to that we just call the bank or go online and get a small settlement from the store that lost our data. We don't care that there are entire websites on the dark web right now where people can pay $19.99 or its equivalent in Bitcoin to access our information and search it so easily that they can just hack into our lives. Making matters worse, we know that we can't trust the CIA with our information. This information was leaked, and according to the press release from WikiLeaks, the information had been floating around the internet for months or years before they even got a hold of it. WikiLeaks actually showed restraint by redacting key lines of code out of this malicious software. The ego of the CIA to first supersede the NSA and then create all of these bulk spying tools and then failing to protect them is gravely irresponsible. We've seen that cybercriminals can shut down entire power grids, and our own president is telling the world that we're trailing in cyber. But we simply don't care that the CIA lost track of these dangerous weapons. If the United States lost a nuclear weapon, that would dominate the world headlines for months. We've had decades of treaties, guidelines, safeguards, and multinational talks to ensure that nukes don't fall into the wrong hands. But when dangerous tools that threaten our most basic of freedoms are found to be in the hands of nefarious actors, we simply take the government's word that they're looking into it. Our apathy to all of this is absolutely disgusting. This goes way beyond blaming Trump or Obama. We have to blame our very culture that allowed our rights to be walked over at every turn. For our sake, I hope that someday we start looking at these real threats to our country. These are the exact same tactics that the Soviets took against their citizens during the Cold War. Now, as our own government is waging a silent war on our citizens, we continue to blame the Russians.